All right, we are back. Hello, hello. Let's get into it. We are reviewing Married at First Sight, season 19, episodes 3 and 4. Episode 3 is titled Catching Flights and Feelings. We have Rhonda saying she feels natural with Pat, so she feels very comfortable with him. She feels a natural chemistry with him, so she's very attracted to him, and he's feeling the same with her. Brittany and Will. Will alluded to them having sex, so they consummated their marriage. We learn a little bit about Brittany. She doesn't eat pork, and she feels that Will has a lot of opinions. And the way that she said that gives the impression that she's not really into him. Well, because of that, at least. Derek and Meg. So Derek, apparently, with Derek, he has nightmares. He gets nightmares ever so often. He says he'll get it like a few times throughout the year. That's a red flag. I don't know if it's the religious upbringing in me that says that, but that's terrifying. What do you mean you get nightmares? And it's to the point where his nightmare woke up Meg from her sleep, and she was concerned and worried, and it was a scary moment. And apparently his father gets night terrors. That's how he worded it. His father experiences the same thing, and this is something that's just inherited. What's going on here? I don't like that. I would have been freaked out. That's gonna be a no for me, dog. They said that they decided to wait to have sex, but eventually we learned that they had it like day 2 or day 3. Josh and Jalen, they didn't have sex. I'm not saying the word because we're still early in the video, and you know how YouTube is. Jalen feels excited for her mom's wedding because, as we learn, her mom is getting matched on the show as well, which is a weird gimmicky setup. I'm not really a fan of it, but we'll see how this goes. Jalen feels like she's a great judge of character, so she could really spot out if the man who is matched with her mom is a good fit. Josh brings up the topic of a post nup. He wants to get a post nup with Jalen. He frames it in a way that says, well, my business partner is encouraging me to do so, essentially coercing him to do so because of their successful business that makes $500,000 a year. He wants to protect the assets of the business. So, with the background music comes in and it's this like dramatic moment. Oh, the topic of money. Jalen says that she never wants to give the impression that she wants to be a stay-at-home mom, a stay-at-home wife. She wants to make her own money. And she says that's no problem with her. She's fine with the post-nup. I feel like we have to get to a place when this conversation is not a big deal. Like, why can't that be a big deal? Why can't that be a nothing burger? Is what I'm saying. Like, okay, you want to protect the business that you've had before me. That makes sense. That doesn't mean you're thinking less of me or you don't believe in us in the long term. It makes sense. Like, I don't think it's a big deal, but whatever. Jalen doesn't care and doesn't want to be a stay-at-home. That's what I said. Okay, so Belinda and Chad. We get to Belinda and Chad. We know Belinda again is Jalen's mom. She was married to her father, who was this successful baseball player, and that allowed them to have a privileged upbringing. Belinda started her family when she was 19 years old, so she's been a mom, a wife for many, many years, but she's been single for the past 8 years. Chad, this will be his fourth marriage. This will be his fourth marriage, he says. Okay. And that's definitely concerning. But I mean, look, I do want to say I think people should be able to still fall in love again or get married again, even if it didn't work out the first 3 times. Like, oh, do you just stop? Oh, I got married 3 times. That means I can't get married anymore because it looks bad. No, I mean, you should be able to move on with your life. And sure, maybe there's a pattern in his marriages that led to divorce, but hopefully fourth time is the charm. Hopefully in this fourth marriage he would have already learned from his past mistakes, and his fourth wife can now reap the benefits of his wisdom now, right? Of him learning. Like, I just feel like we have to stop just like chalking people off and say, dang, you have this amount of baby kids, this amount of kids, this amount of baby mamas, this amount of marriages. You shouldn't, like, no, I'm not dating you. You're a red flag. Well, okay, what does that mean for the person? He can't move on? Jazz says he likes to have fun and that he gets stereotyped for being an asshole. And I feel like this is very, very what's the word? He's telling on himself, basically. He is telling on himself when he says that. Because this gives me the impression that he's been told I'm an asshole, right? He's been told this information, and I think we're gonna see snippets of that throughout this season. Belinda doesn't want to buy herself flowers anymore. She says she kept referencing Miley Cyrus. Well, she referenced Miley Cyrus once, but she also referenced another celebrity. And it's like, girl, Belinda, can you speak from the heart? So, like, I know Miley Cyrus says I could buy myself flowers, but I don't want to buy myself flowers anymore. Girl, we get it. Chad's daughter says, look, is this the one that will work out? Like, what makes you think you're ready now again, type of thing. She also makes a point to say that her dad is stubborn. He's a stubborn person. Jalen hands Josh her purse so she can talk to her mom privately. Now, I wrote that down because that definitely kind of, I don't know if it rubbed me the wrong way necessarily. It just made me look at her a little differently. Josh comes off very, very kind, very maybe even easily manipulated, because he gives this appearance of, you could walk all over me. And because he has such a rough upbringing, maybe that also speaks to his vulnerability. But apparently I haven't seen because I don't watch the trailer of the season because I don't want to get any spoilers. But apparently there's a clip in a future episode of Jalen rolling her eyes at Josh, and he immediately checks her. And I'm like, okay, Josh may give the impression of being this doormat, but nah, you're not gonna disrespect me, not today. But yeah, seeing Jalen hand Josh her purse, that just gave me the impression, okay, Jalen, are you gonna be this bossy, rude type of woman, and are you going to show these moments ever so often for your benefit, or to kind of check him, to sun him? But he graciously grabbed her purse, took her purse from her, and walked off as she requested. But why did he need to hold your purse? Like, I don't know. Why am I handing you my purse so you could walk off with it and place it somewhere? I understand you're trying to make this scene of talking to your mom one-on-one, but I just didn't think that was appropriate. I thought it was rude. Belinda says, or she asks, okay, so Belinda walks down the aisle. She meets Chad. She asks for his name. She didn't hear it the first time. I think they were both just nervous, of course. Chad is making jokes. And I think he's doing that because, of course, he's probably nervous, feeling jittery. So he's joking a lot. So much so that Belinda is noticing this, and she says he has a continuous humor. She says he looks pretty kind. She tells him that her daughter got married at first sight too. And they laugh. There's a little bit of awkward energy. She's unsure if he's feeling her. She actually ends up asking her daughter, Jalen, do you think he likes me? Because Chad does have this initial impression or appearance of hard to read. He's not, of course, going to jump up in the air, or maybe that's just not his aesthetic. He's an older, bald-headed man. I wouldn't expect for him to be jumping up in the air. Chad gets irritated from having to move his head during photos. Okay, so there's, with couples who get married, of course, there's there are moments throughout the wedding day when they have to pose and smile and tilt and angle, and it does get annoying. I get it, Chad. I hate, I don't necessarily hate, but like if I'm in the moment of something, then I hate taking pictures. If that makes sense. So like I just want to be in the moment, especially if it's like a professional photo. If it's just like random candids and I'm just like taking, random selfies, that's different. But having to take a professional photo, and of course a photographer, they have a vision. They want to show that they're an expert at their jobs and you're looking good at the end when I produce these photos. So they're directing you in your poses. So Chad was getting irritated because the photographer was telling him, "Can you tilt your head a bit? Can you turn it right here?" He's like, "I can't really turn it right now." And that was just a very interesting moment because it actually is a call back or call forward to a moment that took place in episode 5 of this season. So we'll get to that eventually. Chad has a continuous humor. That is what Belinda says. Chad didn't know what tapping of the glass meant. Maybe he forgot, but being that this is his 4th marriage, why didn't he know when the guests are tapping the glass, that means husband and wife are kissing? And what I like, or should be kissed, what I'm loving about this new freshness of Married at First Sight, the episodes are released in batches. So episodes 1 through 4 came out all together last week, and or the first week of the show premiering, and then after that episode 5 and 6 have been released, and then coming up will be the next 2 episodes for the season, and then more subsequent episodes. So I really like the setup of this show now. Peacock is doing a great job. The episodes are not long-winded. It's just really good. They really cut out the fat. Chad tells Belinda's kids, so he's talking to Josh, I'm talking to Jalen and her brothers, and letting them know that he's been married 3 times. Yeah, okay. Chad's sisters tell Belinda that she has to chip away the surface when it comes to Chad, and he's someone who's been hurt, and you're just gonna have to have some patience and stick it out. And it was actually not encouraging, right? It was not. I want to feel encouraged after conversing with his sisters and them letting me know that I would have to keep chipping away to get to know this man, and that he's been hurt and it's going to take him a long time to open up. And it's like, okay, what? The brides are given a basic ring. It seems like Peacock was like, look, if you want the real rock, you're going to have to stick to it, say yes at the end, and then upgrade your own ring. Or if you want to upgrade it before you say yes officially, that's on you. But we're going to give you a band. We're going to give you just a simple wedding band and make with it how you please. Jalen and Josh revealed that they actually indeed had sex the night of her mom's wedding. Ugh, just again, this is new wave of like incestuous innuendos happening in our TV shows and movies. And I've said this in previous reviews, right? So that Blake Lively movie that I reviewed, the plot twist was so incestuous. I was just stunned that this was greenlit. But I think this is an intentional move that we're seeing in the media. And I want y'all to be mindful of that. There's like this undertone, whether it's covert or overt, it is present. And I'm peeping it, y'all. Is anyone else noticing this? Now, obviously, Jalen and her mom are not, engaging in anything that's inappropriate. But the point of the matter is, why did the mom and daughter needed to get married at first sight in the same season? Like, why are they combined here? That's weird. And then why did we need to know that Jalen and Josh had sex for the first time the night of her mom's wedding? It's just saying sex and mom in the same sentence. It just gives me the ick. Chad gets a new ring for Belinda, and he did that immediately upon their trip to Panama, which is where every couple will be joined together and enjoying their honeymoon. They Chad and Belinda decided to upgrade their rings. So they upgraded their rings for each other. It wasn't just a Chad doing it for Belinda type of thing. So all 5 couples meet and head to Panama. Rhonda corrects herself from saying vacation, instead honeymoon. I wrote that down because that's a note. That's a note. Pat keeps making a joke or really much an emphasis on wanting people to join the Mile High Club. Chad was the only one who agrees to that. Josh and Jalen, they were the only ones who actually completed the challenge. I don't know how they made that work, but I just feel like, come on, do that shit when you're on a jet. Okay. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure there's a thrill in it, of course, but keep in mind, other people have to use the restroom and you're clogging up the restroom because you want to get your nut off. And how long is it going to take? Some people take a minute to come. I know men are a little quicker, but for women, I'm sure the woman here, I'm sure Jalen did not come as quickly, if at all, in comparison to her husband Josh. Brittany and Will, we get to the end of episode 3. Okay, and episode 3, of course, ends with this like dramatic background noise or a music. Okay, and Brittany shares with us without giving us too much detail, but we could put 2 and 2 together. They had intimacy, and that's her word. She says intimacy, and as they were having intimacy, they weren't protecting each other, so there was no protection during this intercourse. And I guess he didn't pull out, or he didn't pull out quick enough. And she maybe haphazardly said, "Oh, I'm not on the pill." Um, so he pulled out, right? He stopped, and they stopped having intercourse in that moment. And he said in that moment, let's just maybe fall back from having sex. So let's fall back a little bit, because I don't want us to run into this mistake again, or this worry again of maybe you getting pregnant too early than we want. Brittany feels like his reaction came across as an overreaction. She feels like he pulled away, and now she is immediately feeling the feelings of rejection. She feels rejected. She feels like Will is being distant from her, and it's a trigger from her. It's a trigger for her. She refers to a situation with her ex. Mind you, again, remember we learned that she has not been in a relationship past 3 months. So, okay, is this really an ex? Like, let me stop. But you know what I mean? Like, girl, but nonetheless, she feels triggered by it because when she got in an argument with her ex, he apparently pulled back and said, let's just kind of let's break it off. And she doesn't want the same thing to happen here. Will reassures her, letting her know, well, I'm not trying to break up with you. I just think it's best for us to kind of take it slow. Brittany comes from a history, and as she says, things just move fast for her relationship wise. Like immediately within the first week, she says we're exclusive and we're just kind of going with the flow and we're letting ourselves be together physically and sexually. And it seems like that's not what Will wants. So let's jump into episode 4. Episode 4 is titled Falling for You. Episode 4. Jalen and Josh, they're definitely falling for each other. They're hold on. Oh, Josh says, so as they're just like kikiing on the bed together, Josh is talking to Jalen about, like, they're just talking about the other couples, and Josh mentions that he feels like there's a lack of chemistry between Britt and Will. Now, I wonder if that's coming from, I wonder if he's seen, like, who in that couple do you feel is having the lack of chemistry for the other? Like, is he sensing that from Britt towards Will, or vice versa? Jalen tells us that she's not into the outdoors and she's open to trying because Josh really much is. He loves festivals, he loves Burning Man, and he's really into that. Actually, one of her wedding gifts from him, one of her wedding gifts from him, before they met each other, he gifted her a ticket to Burning Man. We jump into Meg and Derek. Meg feels weird sharing expenses with her now husband because she is frivolous in her spending. So she tells us that she has an Amazon package every day. Every day. That's a lot. That's a lot, Meg. I know it's so easy for us to order online, but sometimes it gets the best of us. And we don't realize how destructive it can be because it's so accessible. So I don't think that's a flex, Meg. I don't think she's necessarily flexing, but I hope she's open to Derek's desire for a redirection when it comes to her expenses. She has to fix that. That's not okay. She just wants to keep it like light and breezy. She doesn't want to have heavy conversations. We jump into Rhonda and Pat. Pat loves talking about space. He comes from a space background. Was he in space at one point? I don't remember. But he's so into space. He loves talking about that. And as they're talking though, but as Pat is talking, Rhonda is appearing to be bored, disinterested, and she tells him that she feels like he doesn't listen to her. She mentions a point in her life when she was burglarized. Her home was burglarized, and that led to her now keeping the TV on in her house because she feels like that will protect her from having a burglar come in and, burglarizing the home. But when she dropped that little piece, Pat didn't he wasn't actively listening. He didn't really inquire and show any interest. Instead, he kept going on and on about documentaries or space stuff. We jump into Britt. Britt and Will, they get a couple's massage, but she felt like after the massage was complete, there wasn't any romance in the massage. She thought a couple's massage will be romantic, but she didn't feel any romance. So this kind of brings us back to what Josh was saying earlier about how he senses a lack of chemistry between Britt and Will. Josh gets on Jalen's back for pickup, and I feel like this was a little silly. I'm not about to pick up my man. What are we doing? Belinda hesitates on taking Chad's last name. So there was a point when they went, Belinda and Chad, they're going around town in Panama, and they go to a hat store, and they're talking about last name changes, and Chad says, "Yeah, you look like a Williams." And she's kind of like laughing, and he's like, "Yeah, because I'm not taking your last name. I don't look like a whatever her last name is, Aguilera." I don't fucking know. But the point is, it felt like Belinda was being hesitant and didn't really want to take his last name because why did this conversation even come up? She tells Chad that she wants to see a romantic side from him, and it seems that he's very receptive. What I can say about Chad, I can see the asshole tendencies in him, but I don't think he's doing it out of spite. I think that's just his personality or humor. Because I could be like that sometimes too, right? I could be like, okay, that's what, like, but that's just, it's my kiki. I be kikiing, okay? Anyway, but he seems to be receptive. So I think Belinda may be able to benefit from his growth from his previous marriages. I feel like Chad deserves a chance, okay? Shit, who cares if his fourth marriage? That means he can't marry again? He can't marry again? Brittany and Will, they go on this date, and the date is awkward energy. She's wearing this coral or this orange dress. He compliments it. He compliments her and says, "Oh, orange is not nada, naraha, right? I forgot how you say it." But he's just trying to make conversation. She's just sitting there looking all dumb in the face, still frustrated from earlier. She says, she's trying to let him take the lead, but I guess he's not doing it well enough. She then tells us the background of her history, right? And how she would move quickly in previous relationships. Will asks, "Oh, y'all moved in together?" She's like, "No, no. This is my first time." Like, and it just was a weird moment. Like, she was trying to check him, like, "No, this is my first time living with someone." I'm just saying quickly, as in within a week, we were exclusive and intimate. And it seemed like Will wasn't really like, okay, that's interesting. Like, Will wasn't really into that type of living or dating or whatever. Rhonda tells Pat he talks about himself too much and that he doesn't inquire much about her. I think the way that she said it was kind. I think she has a great way of delivering her noticings when it comes to Pat. But I think Rhonda needs to be receptive because we learn later on in episode 5, actually, but we'll get to that in a different video. But we learn later on that Rhonda is not as receptive as she wants Pat to be. So it's very ironic how she is. She's quick to tell Pat about himself, but is not quick to listen when Pat is telling her about herself or when Pat is rightfully in his feelings about something, and then Rhonda takes it as insecure. Well, I'm kind of giving you a little bit of what happens in episode 5. But anyway, they go to the forest and they do this like ayahuasca stuff. He says he acknowledges her. They have him. I think they were just high. To be honest, I think they were just high off of life, high off of the smokes in the air, high off of Mayan culture. I don't know. They were high off of something. Josh gives Jalen a new ring, but you notice Josh gives Jalen a new ring. It wasn't like how Chad and Belinda, they went to the ring store and gave each other a new ring. No, Josh was the only one who gave Jalen a new ring, and he surprised her with it. So maybe she will surprise him with a new ring later on. Who knows? The girls and guys gather respectively. They talk about what's going on. We jump into a scene between Meg and Derek. And Derek naturally, but he does it in a very polite, and I feel like it should have been received well. But he tells her that she lacks inquiry when it comes to him. She doesn't really ask him questions. She doesn't show interest that way. She's not really a good conversationalist, and he has to lead all of the conversations. And I'm noticing throughout this episode, I should say, there's a lapse in communication between some of the couples, if not all. And that's I guess that's a natural thing in many relationships, if not all. So we get to Britt and Will. Britt kind of mocks Will because he always says it's okay. It's okay. The rainforest is falling down and it's okay. She hates the way he communicates because he doesn't communicate enough for her to feel like she knows him or is aware of what he wants from her. So that was it, y'all. Let me know what you think about episodes 3 and 4 of season 19, Married at First Sight. Leave your comments down below. Make sure you are subscribed, and I will see y'all next time. Bye.